Hi guys, and welcome to this CPD Masterspec Office Masters seminar. Thanks very much for spending a little bit of your valuable time with us. We really appreciate you coming along. If you haven't met me before, my name's Mark Fairburn. I'm standing in for Stephen today, who's off on holiday. I used to do this all the time. It's been a wee while since I've done one, so hopefully there's not too much rust. So, all right, so let's get into it. We'll have a little look at Office Masters. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so basically, Office Masters, what are they? They're a fast start. It's an ability to try and speed up the process of writing specifications, and a way for you to be able to make it a bit more efficient, and also have a little bit more control over what you're doing. If you're a single practitioner, that's fine, but if you are a larger practice, sometimes it might pay to have a little bit of control over the content in an Office Master. Allows you to do that a little bit more. So let's just have a quick crack at what an Office Master does very, very quickly. So you're creating a specification. You are looking for a bit of a fast start. You're going to throw in a new project here, select a client. You're going to put in a project name, spell, project reference, your internal reference number, throw in the project image, which is hopefully part of your flash designs and looking pretty. Put in the due date of the specification that you're trying to fire out the door. I do want you to see if you can remember to fill this detail in. Well, it's actually not a renovation, it's a residential house. It helps with things like work section support. It saves you having to fill it out every time because it's remembered for each project, so you don't have to put it in for work section support. And then obviously your street address, yeah, just throw that in. So this is where it comes into play. I'd also ask you to remember if that's a default, try and put in something that is useful. And then this is where it comes into play, clone an Office Master. So you've also got clone an existing specification, which sounds like the same job, but they're not really. Clone an Office Master is the selections of masters that you have. In this particular case, I have a range to deal with. I'm going to throw in this one here. And then we can add some notes if we want to and throw in the master itself. So it's going to build it off there. Depending on how large it is, it shouldn't take it too long. So it's taking all the content and customization that you put into the original Office Master and making that available to everyone inside the practice. So I will get onto this in a moment, but it is a permission-based system. But with an Office Master, everyone in the practice, regardless of their permission level, has access to use an Office Master. Okay, if that makes sense. Hopefully that one in a moment. So here's my Office Master that I've just downloaded. It's got a whole lot of content in it. If I go and open this, I've got the content in it that was customized previously. Now, Office Masters are often customized by senior members of staff because they're putting their knowledge into it to help everybody else out. Or you can use it as an alternative method, which I said before, to just making your life a bit more efficient. So you don't have to deal with the stuff all the time. So an obvious example in here would be, say, project personnel. You know who the principal is, so why not pre-fill that out in the master? Then you don't have to do it every time that you set it up. So it's a nice, easy way of being able to do that. So the thing about an Office Master and the key advantage of it is when you start a project, you get the opportunity to download multiple work sections in one hit, rather than having to do it this way. So traditionally, the system might work so that you, along the top here, if you're getting content in, you can now add further content. So if I want to add another work section, I can. Just remove that out of the way. I'm just going to add a work section in very quickly so you can see that once you've done your Office Master, it's not the end of the process. Obviously, you can add further content as you go. So I'm now added another work section here, and we can add further content to the master as it stands. So that's really important as well. But as I was saying before, Office Masters are permission-based. So if you are an administrator or a senior member of staff and you want to control the Office Masters, and before we do that, let's show you where that is. It's under Organizational Setup. If you can't see Manage Staff, you're not an administrator, and this is where you can control it. And under the Assigned Roles, there is an Office Masters tab, and this is the person in this particular practice, me, who can control it. You can obviously have multiple people. I actually, in this test account, I only have myself, but it would obviously show all the people who are assigned to you as a organization, and you could select who actually has control of the Office Master, which is all important because if you want senior staff to look after the Office Master and not have junior staff make changes to the Office Master, this is where you do that and achieve that. So it's in this space here. If you don't have that and you need it, the idea would be to contact your office administrator and get them to set you up or become the office administrator and load yourself into this space. Okay, so that's why it's important as a permission-based tool set. There are two levels of permission: users, which just get access to Office Masters. And when I say access to Office Masters, I mean they can download and access the Office Masters as we just did by creating a new specification, or alternatively, while they're in a specification, while they're in a specification, they can use this tab here along the top. So I don't know if everyone's always aware of this, but it's very handy to have. But that's that specification of the master that I've just used to download here. But I can actually access other ones here. So, and I can take content out of them individually. Remember I said before, when you started a specification, you get one chance to download multiple sets of content. Well, that's right, but you can also use the content off an Office Master as an individual work section once you've got your section established. So I'm just going to go and do that. I've selected this particular work section and it's going to drop it into my new project over here, which I started with an Office Master. And here is that content loaded in. So you can still use the Office Masters as an individual case by case, just as you can with Office Projects. So Office Projects allows you to do the same process. You can add individual work sections as you go. Okay, so Office Masters, if you like, are a very good fast start to the system. They're excellent at allowing you to preload content so you don't have to do it in that repeatable situation every time. So they're a very good fast start and a very good way of controlling the content within a work section. So for example, a work section that might have come from an Office Master may have preloaded the content because that's the way you want your practice to use it. It doesn't mean that they can't alter the information after the fact. The user can get into the content, but it means that they've got it from the Office Master. You can see this was generated via an Office Master. So if I hover this here, I'll just hover that one there, you can see the content generated via the Office Master by Mark Fairburn. As soon as I take that content over, rubbish in there, and get the thing to auto-save, you can see now that when I hover this content, is that what? Firing for me. Just Teams. Just do that again. So when I hover that content there, you can see now that that is uploaded or changed by me because I have now taken over the editing of that, whereas this one here, which has no changes to it, says it came from an Office Master. So you can obviously tell what has been updated between the Office Master being downloaded and then customized within the work section itself. Okay, so it doesn't limit you from adding or changing the content. It just gives you, as I say, that fast start, and maybe gives you the ability to control the content that comes down. In other words, the selections and all the rest of it is pre-selected before it comes down into the specification, saving them having to do the Q&A again. So that's another key advantage of it. So how do you control and create Office Masters, and what do you do? So if you are the administrator for the practice, you would go into Office Masters projects here. So you will see this, and you can manage Office Masters. If you can't see that, it's because, again, you don't have that base permission that I saw at earlier under My Details, Manage Staff. So if you can't see this, it's because you're not set up properly. And you'll need your administrator to do it, or if you're an administrator, you can allocate yourself that permission. So Office Masters Manage is the main one here, and this allows us to look after my Office Masters that I previously created. Why is that? Because Office Masters, by their very nature, are a click in time, or a snapshot in time of a specification. Unfortunately, specifications roll on because of the maintenance requirements with changes of codes, standards, changes of product sets. How do we deal with that? Well, that's what this tool set is for. And so it's also good to understand that Office Masters require maintenance. When things require maintenance, it requires hours of time or work. So therefore, you might want to be very cognizant of that fact before you start creating thousands of Office Masters to look after. You do not want to become Masterspec yourself and having to do updates all the time. Unless you've got good repeatable stuff, I would suggest you don't use an Office Master. You need use an Office Master quite judicial about how you use an Office Master, rather than just creating them because you feel it's a good idea that day. They need maintenance because of the nature of the changes, and you need to spend a little bit of time doing that so that your content, when it's being used by other people, is not out of date and putting the practice at risk. So if you open up an Office Master that you've currently got, it will tell you how many sections you've got on it, and also how many updates have come through. Now, not all the updates will obviously be applicable. If you have customized an Office Master, every month that customization will show as being a requirement to update, but you'll need to ignore that. Why do we not remove that? We can't remove that because we want to show you all changes inside any clause. So, for example, if a change in the code or standard means that clause has to be removed because it's no longer applicable, we want to show you that. So you need to either remove the clause and then create a new one, or update the clause to fit that content. So we won't, there's no sidetracking that. There's no way of removing this warning every month. So just be aware of that. That's why it happens that way. So if we go in and we go edit the content, we can go and see the Office Master. You'll see the screen flips over and looks pretty much like it would for a normal specification. The clue is Office Master, Apartments Basic. These ones are now dealt with. If I go in and look at this one, edit. If I go to the Update Manager, it's the same as using the Update Manager as you would in a normal project. And we can see the changes that may or may not be required. And again, it's a simple job of taking those changes and updating them. There's some customization that I've done. So I'm not going to take the update because I don't want it in this particular case. I want to keep my customization. And again, here's some customization that I want to keep. So let's leave that alone. Here's something I've removed. So I'm not going to insert that either. I'm going to close and remove the notification for update. So it's a monthly process, if you like. Small Office Masters, less Office Masters, less work to do in that space. Okay, so I just need to set that to complete. The idea that I like is use the set to complete to help you manage this. And then you'll know what has been worked through and what hasn't. If you're doing these fairly regularly, the load is a lot lighter on the maintenance. So if you do it every month, it's a pretty quick process to be able to do that. Yeah, you can assign half an hour to update the Office Master. You're good to go for the practice. So what happens if you don't update the Office Master? It basically throws a warning to the users to say, if you're downloading the Office Master and it has information that is out of date, It says there is information out of date. You may need to contact your administrator, but it will allow them to download the content. It means that what happens is everybody in the practice now has to update the traffic control in this particular case individually, which is a waste of time. If you've got a large practice, 15 people need to update the traffic control for every time they do the project. The idea behind an Office Master is you do it once, fix it correctly for the practice in this case, and then they don't have to worry about it. It's basically ready to go for them when they start the project. So that's an important idea as well. So once you've finished that and you're happy with it, you basically finish it off and go back to your Office Masters here, and again go through each of them. So you can see in here I've got a range of Office Masters. Some of the things that I think Office Masters are particularly good for is the Part 1 selections, which is, this is the wrong name for this one, but you can see based on this idea. If I look at the edit content for this one, typically, you're going to set up the same set of Part 1. In other words, your general information pretty much the same each time. So it's a nice way to get that stuff all done and set up, get your warranties and your shop drawings and all of that information together. It's also a good control for the practice to make sure things are not missed in the front in the setup, and then let people use, if you like, the product sets as they require, so they can go and select from those as that. So again, a quick fast start. So that's another way of being able to do that. The other thing to do is, if you've got a particular style or of building that you use all the time, and people do have that, they have particular product favorites that they use in a particular methodology, maybe you want to build that. So your basic residential home that you use time and time again with the same long run roofing, the same brick or whatever, you can get that done as a prerequisite set. Also, if you're a group home builder and you're using the same system time and time again, why not create an Office Master for that particular version? If it's a 2-bedroom version or a 3-bedroom version of the same product set, there wouldn't be too much change to do. So Office Masters are a really good format for that as well, if you've got something that is highly repeatable. In the commercial space, if you're doing something like a rollout, a brand rollout for a large group company, say a bank or something along those lines, and it's the same thing, or you've got an interior fit out position that you have to maintain as a standard, an Office Master is perfect for that as well. And it can be created on a short term and then deleted at a later date. So Office Masters are very, very helpful for that as well. So maintaining Office Masters, pretty simple, but at the same time, you don't want to create a whole lot of them where you have to maintain miles of information for yourself. So as I say, be judicial about that, what you're creating, but they are a huge time saver, and also they can help limit the risk for a practice by creating them in the right way. So adding an Office Master or creating one from scratch is pretty simple as well. So let's go and have a look at that. Under here, create a new Office Master. Obviously, you give your Office Master a title. The description of work, it displays to people, what is this? Is it for the start of a specification, or is it for a particular product set? Which is another methodology actually I should have mentioned as well. So, you might use a particular couple of product sets together that are tied together quite tightly as, say, it may be glazing and window set. You could create that as an Office Master as well. Name it as such. Okay, so tell people what it's for. Again, that's as an administrator for a practice where other people that you may not be in contact with are using this section, tell them what the section's for and why they should be using it. And that's, again, intended usage as well. So you can start blank, but the fast start to Office Masters is available here too, where you can clone an existing specification document. So that might be a good example where if you've decided that actually you do want to use your standard specification and create an Office Master for it for your residential home, go and find the current project that you've done, the latest and greatest one that you've done, use that as your starting point. So you've got up-to-date content, or as up-to-date as it can be, and you can add those in. And basically select that and away you go. I won't go and add an Office Master, but very simple process to do that. So adding Office Masters, very simple, and about Office Masters, just simply what they can do. So that's all good. So Office Masters allow you to really kickstart something for your practice and get your weight off flyer. There are some interesting quirks of Office Masters. If you're a user of MasterKey, and unfortunately, this particular practice that I'm in here, that I'm linked to, is not a MasterKey. It's not set up for MasterKey properly, so I can't actually show you. But if you are a MasterKey user and you create custom clauses inside work sections, in other words, you create different versions of keynotes inside it, if they become part of your Office Master, they will download each time as well. So you may have, say, for the framing sections, you may actually have all the framing sizes as custom information, so you don't have to type them each time. When you create them off an Office Master, another advantage is they come through. What doesn't come through is attached documentation. Now, I have had a lot of people say, why can't I attach ecerts or mdocs and have those attached to it so that they come through in one set? The reason we've done that is just, I know it sounds quite draconian, but we don't want to add that content because people customize work sections after the fact and then content doesn't relate to it. So we want you to go through and find that content on mdocs or ecerts or any of the other systems and add that content to the back end of the specification as supplementary yourself as a requirement. So otherwise it becomes a little bit of a risk to the practice that you've got content there that doesn't relate to the work sections, and there's no reason to go and check that if you've got an Office Master. So we want you to do that as its own individual process. Thank you very much for your time today, and as I say, further questions, please fire those through via email to us, and we'd love to get back to you. We look forward to seeing you at the next one, and please feedback if you'd like any other information or other particular areas covered. We'd love to do that. Thanks.